Smallhorn, thank you so much for your presentation this morning. Could you just provide us with a very quick summary of the key communication points?
Sure, Richard. It's a real pleasure. Well, I guess it's numerous fold. Number one, we need to design a maritime aviation capability around our objective, and our objective as a medium power, relatively small navy, is ensuring that we can bring to bear from a national perspective that sea denial capability, a decisive lethality, if you will, that can lead to a sea denial. Next, it was the fact that we've recapitalised our fleet air arm. That's been a 10-year program, and now at the end of this year, December of this year, we will have replaced every aircraft in the capability and commenced the introduction of unmanned air vehicles into the embarked environment, of which we're about to deploy a manned-unmanned teaming with a 60 Romeo this year. And then finally, we need to develop our people. It's all good to have great equipment, and we do, and we're very fortunate to have had the support of our government to do that. But we need to develop our people into artistic and agile warfighters, because by doing that, they're going to be greater than their sum of the parts.
Just on the subject of recapitalisation, as you said, that's a long-term plan, and that's been in the works for 10 years. What benefit will that really bring to helicopters at the operational level? You mentioned a few things about crossing over as well with the Army.
Sure. In Australia, we, as you're probably aware, we don't operate a marine service, a Royal Marines or a US Marine Corps, to use two examples at an international level. What we do, however, is bring the marine effect. And we do that by having a very close working relationship between Army rotary wing aviation and naval aviation, all the fleet air arm. Now, when employed, they're employed under a joint operational concept, so either a deployable joint headquarters or a joint operational command back home. Recapitalising the force has had a couple of effects. Number one of the aircraft we're using is common between Army and Navy, and that's the MRH-90. And that offers some obvious advantages, particularly in terms of cost of ownership. It's a larger fleet, so Navy will operate 6 out of 47 aircraft, and the remainder will be operated by Army. But more important, I would offer to you than any of that, it is the fact that we've modernised the equipment and that they are interoperable with our allies, and they're interoperable with our Navy, which is also recapitalising. Put that together and you start to get a true joint effect that starts to achieve those bigger objectives of sea denial.
And drilling down into manned and unmanned teaming, it's sort of a hot button topic at the moment. Is it really the force multiplier for the future that it's seeming to be?
Richard, it's an important question. We do as a community tend to latch on to terms and names, and MUM-T, manned unmanned teaming, I guess is the name of the day, and it's the current vernacular that's catching people's attention. Your question's really relevant though. Will it be the force multiplier that we expect? I would offer to you, I think it has the potential to be, but we need to change a couple of our paradigms of thinking. By that I mean, we talk about it as unmanned. I'd offer to you it's not unmanned at all. It's a question of where the man or woman happens to be sitting at a given time, which means we need to build a human engineering mindset that includes the human. We shouldn't just talk about it as unmanned. The ability to bring a manned and unmanned vehicle together, and I mentioned before that the human offset built with the actual platform can be greater than the sum of its parts when you pull those two things together. So too I would make that statement for manned-unmanned teaming, provided the level of interoperability is such that it can easily be controlled by the humans, easily employed, and the information can be networked rapidly without overwhelming the command. So it's got the potential to be a true force multiplier. But if we don't think carefully about it, we mustn't rush into it. If we don't think carefully about the way we employ the humans into this picture and build the C2 network, we actually have the potential to have another one of those great capabilities that takes us many years to realise what it can really do for us.
Excellent. And on a much broader level, we've heard a few speakers today talk about the adversary in the future probably providing a level of degradation or denial that we need to be prepared for. Quite bluntly, is Australian Army Aviation or Naval Aviation prepared for that future?
From a naval aviation perspective, we are preparing for, because the question comes to the heart of the first point, and that is, what does degradation look like? So it's not like we haven't been dealing in high density electronic warfare environments for a long time, and in fact more so in the maritime sense because of the sort of warships that you're dealing with and adversary complex fleets. The warfare environment is by definition complex, and so too is the EW environment. So both forces, both adversary and ourselves, are subject to this degradation. So it is both a lever and something that we need to defend against. But first of all, we need to clearly define what it is now and what it's going to be, because our ability to work in a degraded environment, it has a long lead time. This is highly technical stuff. It has a long lead time to get them into the aircraft. We are in the process now of making sure we've got a pretty clear understanding of what degradation of environment actually looks like in the future through the various elements of the electromagnetic spectrum and the equipment spectrum. But right now, we are building a collective training arrangement specifically around when we go out and collectively train, we train in degraded environments. So we're doing that as we speak, but it is going to be a moving feast, and it's something we can't take our eye off.
You've come halfway across the world to see us, and obviously this event is important to you. What opportunities is it offering in order to help you gain the achievements that you're aiming for this year?
Yeah, look, I think it's a comment that I'd make for a lot of the conferences that we tend to attend in this business. What really attracted me to this one when the opportunity came to attend was when I started looking over, historically speaking, the number of countries that get involved. In our own region, typically we're more dealing with the local region because of the ease of travel. The tyranny of distance often prevents us the opportunity to deal at this level, at these sorts of tactical and strategic discussions, and also with industry in a European and UK sense, because it's just a long way to come. That's not to say we don't have regular contact with our industry out here and regular contact with our allies, but you know what, it's pretty hard to beat a face-to-face meeting. So I'll walk out of here with contacts, but I'll also walk out of here with a whole series of perspectives that perhaps I didn't have before I came. An open mind is the key to these things.
We're very grateful to have you here.
Thanks,
you very
Richard.
much.
Thanks.